Hello and welcome back to a wiring video. In this video I'll be fitting these two 3.5mm jack sockets, and these two are connected together with this 2-core screened audio cable. The reason for this is the TV sits here and I want to run the TV through the audio speakers. So I'll be connecting the TV to this jack socket, which will fit here in this spare position, with this 3.5mm 1 meter long connecting cable. So one end will plug into the TV and the other end will plug into this auxiliary socket here, and then this one I'll be using it at the radio end. This is the auxiliary input socket on the radio CD head unit. My new socket will go somewhere here. And this is the connecting cable I'll be plugging into the head unit and into my socket, which will be positioned about there. The maximum thickness you could fit this socket to is 3mm. If I take this locking nut off, it's got a very short thread length, and this boarding is 10mm thick, and this plastic blank is about 1mm thick. This covers the screw fitting that holds this box to the shelf. What I'm going to do is drill a hole in the centre of this and straight through the centre of this fitting. I've marked the centre of the plastic cover. I've measured the diameter of the auxiliary socket at the threaded area, which is around there. Put the cover back in place and drill through the centre. I'll tidy that up with a trimming knife. See how the socket fits in the hole. Just a little bit tight where the threads are. I think it needs the 8mm drill bit putting through there, just so the threads can fit. That's a perfect fit. And the lock nut will go onto the back, like that. What I need to do now is determine which terminal is which on the back of this socket, because they're not labelled. Plug the connecting lead in to the socket, and the plug has 3 contacts. This top one is ground, the middle one is right channel, which will be the red wire, and the tip is left channel, which will be the white wire. So what I'm going to do is use the tester. So I'll touch the ground on the plug and the long terminal on the back of the socket. Yeah, so I know the long terminal is the ground. So if I touch one of the shorter terminals and then the middle, yep, I know that one is the right channel. Just check the other one. Yeah, that's left channel. So the right channel I'll mark with the red pen. That's the red wire on. I'm having to use a pair of tweezers to get this wire right because it's that small. That's the white wire soldered on, and the red one, just the ground to solder on now. So that's soldered onto the terminals okay. Before I do anything else, I want to check to make sure the soldering's okay. So I'll put the connecting lead in. I've stripped back the other end of the cable. First I'll check ground. Yeah, check the other cables, make sure they're not touching, that's okay. Check the right channel. Yeah, check the others, that's okay. Finally, left channel. Yeah, check the others, that's okay. That's good. What we'll do next is thread this through the cover that we drilled earlier. Next we thread on the lock nut. We put the lock nut on, tighten the lock nut, and now we thread on the heat shrink. And the next job is in the Caravan. Because I had to enlarge the hole in this cap, I'm going to make the hole bigger in this screw fitting to 8mm. The next job is to draw the audio cable through. So I need to gain access behind here by taking this corner light shade off. This is where the wiring comes through from the radio, through that hole. And I'm going to try and draw my cable through that hole from the hole I've drilled here without taking this box section off. Got it. What I need to do now is tape something on the end of this and pull it back through, because I don't want to be pulling through this whole 30 metres of draw line. I'll tape this piece of wire on. I'll gently pull it through, don't want it to come off. So it's through, that's good. I can tape the end of the audio cable now on the end of this. Gently pull that through. That's through. I'll leave it at that. I'll keep a bit of excess cable, so when the job's finished I can just push this in and there'll be this spare cable underneath the radio in case it ever has to be pulled out for some reason or another. I'll leave that there for now. What I'm doing now is taking off these Aliatech corner covers. And what I'm going to do is thread the audio cable along the back of the Aliatech covers. There's already a recess cut out here, so that's handy. And there are already channels shaped in these plastic mouldings. I suspect they are for running cables through. There's already a cutout in this kitchen unit, so just a case of threading it through. There's another cable cut out between these cupboards. Going to put the Aliatech covers back on. Can get this corner light back in place. I've plugged the light back in. I'll get the shade back in. Just got to be careful not to over tighten because it could strip the plastic that it's screwing into. That's it. Better check the light. Yeah. What I'm going to do now is go to the other side of the caravan and take the Aliatech trim off, because I'm going to thread the audio cable through this hole, and that's the ceiling trunking that goes straight across the caravan. This is the other end of the ceiling trunking. So I'll thread the draw line through. Now I'll have to take the ceiling light off. You can probably see this line in the ceiling. That's the trunking that's fitted during caravan manufacture. Let's put that pencil mark there so that when I put the light back on it goes exactly in the same place. That's why I couldn't get by, because of the terminal connections. That's my draw line, so push that back up there. Taping the audio cable onto the draw line, and now I'm going to pull it through. And it's through. I can get the ceiling light back on, so I need to thread these connectors up there. Next job is to take this panel off, because we're going to thread the wiring behind the panel and down to the new socket point. Get it through the wiring cutout, and then we have to take this trim off. If I can get to it easy enough. It's a bit of a tight space, so I've had to push this piece of wire up, and now I'm going to tape the audio wire to it and then pull it through. It's through. Leave a little bit of slack in there so I can put this cover back on. Put the screw caps on. Now I can put the Aliotech trim cover back. Put this socket in place, push the excess wire under the radio, align the tag, that's it, that looks good. I'll plug in the angled connecting cable, that one into the head unit and that one into the new socket, and the wiring's out of the way. The next job is to get the audio cable behind these switches down to the point where I'm going to fit the second auxiliary socket. What I'm going to do first is just make sure there's nothing behind here, because I'm going to drill the hole in here first, because it's easier to drill while the plate is in place. Yeah, that's safe to drill behind. That's tight, and now I can mark the centre of that and drill that hole. I've marked the centre with a bradawl so the drill doesn't slip. So I'm going to drill the 8mm hole. Give it a try. Yeah, that fits perfectly. Get the cable threaded through. I wonder if this will work, just pushing it down. Yes, it's there. Yeah. Put this cable cover back on. That's it. What I'm going to do now is determine which terminal is which on the back of this second socket. So I'll mark that with the red pen. I'm going to cut the audio cable, but leaving plenty of excess. So I'll cut it about here. I'll strip it back. Got to be careful not to cut the screen wiring, which is the ground. Trying to be careful. There we go. I've got to strip back the red and white wires. It's got to be very careful. It's very easy to break the fine copper wires. Put the heat shrink on. And then the locking nut for the socket. And then we mustn't forget to thread the cable through the hole. I could have soldered the wires onto the socket terminals and then realised I'd not threaded the cable through the hole first. So then I would have had to have unsoldered everything to do it again. So it's a good thing I remembered. That's the ground wire soldered. That's the white wire soldered. It's got the red one to do now. Yeah, that looks okay. Push that in there. Put the lock nut on. That's the lock nut on, and now we'll thread the heat shrink over the bare connections. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to risk it and put everything back and then try the socket for continuity to the other socket. So this excess cable can tuck behind the other sockets. So I've got my 1 metre extension, plug that in there, and this end would normally go into the TV. I'll get my tester. So I've got the lead from that socket held here on this crocodile clip, and I've got this lead at the radio end. I'll just trap that in the locker door, and now I can use the tester. We'll try ground first. Yeah, ground's okay. We'll try right channel. Yeah, and then left channel. Yeah, looks like everything's good. Now that we know the soldered connections are okay, I can take the connecting fly lead off and put the screw caps back on. The final job was to label the auxiliary socket AUX. Similar to the socket here that's marked TV. I bought a white marker pen, but the nib was 0.7 of a millimetre, which is a bit too thick. Then I bought a 0.1 millimetre tip, but in light grey, but you couldn't see it. So what I had to do was put a bit of this white marker paint on this jar cap and then dip this tip into it and put the markings on. It's not as neat as I would have liked, but I don't think it looks too bad. I'm now on the final step. I'll connect the TV up using this 1 metre fly lead into the auxiliary socket, switch the TV on, and I'll see if I can get sound through the audio speakers. Take the cover off the back of the TV. I'm looking for an audio out. Audio out, left, right, that'll be the analog, that's the one I want. So we'll plug the 3.5mm plug into there. Put the cover back on to keep it looking nice and neat. Plug the other end into the new auxiliary socket. Turn the radio on. Select source. That's auxiliary. That's the sound through the TV set. And if I go menu, connections, sound components, and select hi-fi amplifier, the sound's now coming through the audio speakers. But to adjust the volume, you have to adjust it at the radio.
Thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. Now we're joined by former Government Chief Scientific Officer Sir David King, head of the independent SAGE Group.
It actually sounds really good. I'm pleased I fitted these audio sockets. I hope you found this video interesting and useful, and I hope to see you on the next video.